Minutes,
Mhm.
and I'm going to go to our Facebook. All right, there it is. That's the link. All right, so that's out there. Hi, Robin. Hope you're feeling better.
Oh, I'm getting there. Thanks.
It's the season, right? When temperatures transition and things get warmer, seemingly, and then not. Our
I
bodies
know.
decide, let's take on some germs and activate them.
So fun. I am COVID negative. I have been testing, so it's just a cold, a really
Yep.
bad one.
Just as a side note to that, I feel like the COVID testing sites have been missing us because I know I'm getting emails all the time now from them saying, "Hey, do you got plans? Do you want to get tested? Do you have a need to get tested?" I'm like, dude, I know I tested a lot in the fall, but I'm good now. Thank you.
We miss you. Come back for a test.
Yes, yes. But I get it though. I mean, I guess that's the issue with when healthcare is private, it's a business, and so they gotta find customers, and it's unfortunate the customers have to be sick people. But yeah, so they send out the email. Okay, it's 5:04. What are we at? We are live streaming now. Just going to hold for. I know this is kind of in prime time of Justin and Kimberly's supper, so I think he might just be running late in terms of getting on. And let me make sure I've got my things to share. I have a feeling we're not going to hit the 28 that we hit with that last meeting. Which is, I mean, I'm just making commentary to fill awkward silence.
It is a little early.
Yeah.
Everyone's tired right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our enthusiasm is waning.
I saw the photos from the play date. Sorry I wasn't there. Thank you, Mandy, for taking over the lead.
It was so fun.
Good.
I didn't even know there were photos. Do you apologize you took them?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'll send you that one group shot with you all smiling at me. But
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
no, it was a good crowd. Lots of tag, lots of running. The field was pretty.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good. Juice box instead of hot chocolate.
It was great. We got a lot of really great feedback from you on what snacks they prefer. So yeah, we'll take that in.
Maybe next time we'll have to do like a voting on the snacks.
We should.
They
Yeah.
were into it. So yeah, I love that.
I mean, yeah, I think what I love about it is that the kids certainly were they had the confidence to sort of give feedback. They're like, next time you do this,
This
I
is
think
what we would prefer.
I think I can make it better.
I do have a giant cooler, and I had brought it out to one of the protests at one point, filling that with hot chocolate. So if I need to bring that thing and fill it full of hot water, let me know, and I'll just bring it. You bring the
Cool.
chocolate.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm hoping it warms up enough that we won't even want hot chocolate anymore.
All right, so let's see, 5:06. Is that right? Yeah, we should just roll. And the folks that roll in will roll in. So for the sake of the recording and obviously for the people that are in the meeting live, I thought this would be a good check-in time, an extra meeting to sort of have a nice formal discussion. And by formal, I mean not an email and over text. I mean really just an in real-time person discussion to just talk through and check in with their families about how they're doing and about PTO and our activity and our direction. I know when we launched into this 3 weeks ago, we had a set of expectations and understandings. What one of which was that we wouldn't be here 3 weeks later, and so we sort of took upon some actions and decisions based upon that. And of course, circumstances have changed. Um, the and so truly what this is meant to do today is first of all, I sort of want to acknowledge, and this is primarily for the recording, we are not a representative body. We certainly don't come anywhere near that. And if we were to look at the demographics of the folks that we do engage with and that are actively participating in our processes, we're it's there are two entire communities that don't come out, that we haven't reached, and I think in part is because of the way that we are messaging and maybe the methods by which we message, and so that's certainly something that I think moving forward, this PTO or future PTOs really it would behoove them to try and tackle. Um, but having said that, I do want to sort of point out that we are a consultative body. We encourage people to come, bring their ideas, share. Let's talk it through. The folks that are in the room that are participating. What best decisions for the good of the many can we accomplish with the folks that are around? So that's the spirit of today's meeting. If I were to put it into a couple of sentences. The other thing, if I'm just going to share this real quick, and this was more in the treasury realm, but I just wanted to sort of, I want us to be responsible stewards of the resources that we have, and so what we're looking at right now is kind of, I'm hesitant. I'm not hesitant. I mean, this is the expenditures that we have done as a body over the 3 weeks that are obviously strike related. Now, again, and we just as a matter of context, we sort of established at the last meeting that we, as a group, are coming out to do sort of. We wanted to do a number of things, but we understood that there were some restrictions to what we could do. We are a nonprofit, and we looked into what does that mean in terms of our ability to get involved in this labor negotiation kind of period. And what does that mean in terms of political discourse and political activity? And there are restrictions there. So we, as a group, are not necessarily siding one way or the other. The goal is let's get engagement, let's get communication. If we've got MFT information and we've got MPS information, let's get it in front of folks. They can make the decisions that they want to make. They can become active in the way they want to be active. So there's that kind of I'm probably using the phrase, but there's that sort of Damocles thing over our head. Like if this is a union against an employer. There are issues there being discussed. There are sides to be taken, and PTO tries not to, as a group, take sides. But I think I want to absolutely acknowledge that the individuals that form up this group, those of us that are here today, we clearly have a bias. We clearly have taken sides individually, and we have acted in that way. So I sort of am acknowledging that there's a group stance and then there's us as individuals, and some of that intermingles, and we're trying to be responsible. But I think the largest thing that we are fairly committed to is I put it this way whenever I talk to people. You're hungry, you're thirsty, you got to pee, you're cold. Okay, we can solve that for you. We can bring you food, we can bring you coffee, we'll bring you a porta potty, and we'll help you with your firewood. I mean, that's kind of been the focus of the activity that we've been doing. So why are we looking at this worksheet? This is where we, as a group, again, being responsible stewards for the money that we have access to, for the resources that we have, we allocated $1,500 mostly for the entirety of a porta potty, because at the time we were thinking this was a $185 average per day type thing. Well, as it turns out, and because of the company that we worked with, they gave us a great deal, and they're giving us one of those like yearly type things, but then monthly billing. So we're only paying $163 plus delivery and tax, which is 20 down here. You'll take a look. It's 209 is what this would come to if we finished out 4 weeks. So the 1,500 that we allocated, we as a group on the email chain decided, well, we have approval for it. Let us use it for things. And so what you're looking at down here then is $900 of the 1,500 we allocated to a first round of Target gift cards for the. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Sorry, we got karate about to go out there. All right, have fun. We allocated $900 to the $1,500 for a first round of Target gift cards, 60 pieces at $15 a piece. It was done over email and approved. And then we followed up with a charitable giving campaign through our GiveMN site and reached out to our parents, or would they be available and willing to support a second round. And so the monies together came up to 1915, which is right at the cusp of what, according to MPS rules, we are allowed to give to teachers as the official parent-teacher group. So that's kind of what that is. We have covered a couple of compostable dinnerware sets for the Bancroft teachers that are on strike in terms of the community events that they were trying to hold. And then we have been doing our own play dates, one of which was today. So these are the receipts. So our input for this particular period, 2615, our output, 2422. Bounce house. This is kind of the wiggle room we have. So the point to this conversation is this. Again, we sort of gave ourselves a mission as a group 3 weeks ago. This is an opportunity to sort of discuss and refocus. And should our mission continue? Should we change? Are there needs that we are not meeting? Are there places we've overstretched and overstepped? And then the second thing to discuss is, after we've sort of figured that out, if we're needing to sort of allocate another set of funds for something, then I am interested in there being a vote, rather than an open sort of transparent vote, rather than the type of votes that we've been doing for the day-to-days where we do it over email and we figure out, okay, over this email chain, we've got 9 people on the chain. If we get 6 of them, we're good to go, right? I'm just laying out the groundwork of the discussions I'm sort of interested in having. I also want to acknowledge Brianna and Diego. I understand from staff point of view, strike specific discussion is not something that you're able to participate in. I appreciate you being here because again, this is, though our activities and our priorities might be a smidge divergent, we're all one community, and I think we want to sort of acknowledge, the relationship we have. Having said that, I'm going to stop the share so that I can see more faces, but does anyone have any questions about this? And I'm not asking you to check my math, Justin will. But any questions sort of about this before I put this away, the worksheet? I'm just going to try a quick scan. All right, great. No questions. I will stop the share. Oh, we've got a couple of new people. Okay, great. So, having said that, I'd like to. I do want this to make an open discussion. How do folks feel about where we are? And I am particularly interested in terms of PTO and the activities that we are engaging in, but I'm also interested in, are there needs that are unmet? Is there help that we could be doing, that we could be providing? Is there a gap in coverage? It's an open floor.
Do you mind if I just talk a little bit about, like, in my communication with families, like kind of how families are feeling with the amount of support that they're being asked to do?
No, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, it seems like it's been pretty steady. You kind of did the math and saw that there weren't a lot of families who were doing repeat signups as of yet, but it seems like this week people are kind of starting to reach like their both like emotional and financial limits. there's a lot of people who like, really want to support, but it's like they're kind of tapped out between like the strike fund, a couple of rounds of strike fund, like maybe they donated to the All of Minneapolis one, and now they're donating to Bancroft. And this is the barbecue is our second big like community event, and we've been asking for coffee and all these donations, and it's been really wonderful. But I think we're starting to reach the point where like, if this continues another week, we might have to start like allocating PTO funds for that. Maybe we could find people who are able to like do the transportation and stuff, but it seems like generally people are starting to feel a little bit tapped out.
Yep, that's. Thank you, Mandy, for bringing it up. And then just for context, Mandy has been one of the has really been an on-site coordinating contact person for the families that want to engage, for the teachers that are on site. So you absolutely would know if what the pulse is like. So I appreciate that. I just want to, for the sake of the recording, I want to give a quick thank you. I'm just gonna say this out. Thank you very much to Lindsay, to Megan, to Melissa, to Linda, to Crystal, to Maura, Michelle, to Laura, to Margaret, to Samantha, to Aaron, to Sharon, to Morgan have said, to Oliver, to Asia, to Tara, to Tana, to Kimberly, to Mandy, to Jillian, to Kate, to Rachel, to Laura, different Laura, to Carissa, to Michelle, to Kate, different Kate, Kelsey, Jen, Linda, Molly, Vicky, Kate, Dana, Shauna, Maura, and then a few anonymous. Those are the names of a great list of folks that have been involved, that have donated in kind or in cash to the Give Amen. And then this is not an exhaustive list, because there is another whole list of folks who actually come out and just spend time with the teachers and families that come out. So I believe the numbers I had at the time, this might be a little outdated, but I think it was 36 households, 36 families, and we were guesstimating that you double that, and that tells us the other folks that are just anonymously there, whose names I can never seem to remember. So yes.
We also have people who donated their time and goods to the pancake breakfast. And then we have a lot of people signed up to work on the BBQ tomorrow who have not previously signed up for other things.
Right.
So,
yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Absolutely. So, okay. So let me just sort of push this discussion along. The notion that we have been leaning on our families to contribute as their way of engaging. Are we at the are we at the point where PTO maybe should PTO and could PTO shoulder a little bit more in terms of what we're doing for we can feed you, we can give you drinks, we're going to continue paying for the porta potty, right? I mean, that's paid for a month. Let's hope that we don't need any more than that. But if it goes a day over, they will prorate us. So that's kind of great. We're on the hook for 1 month regardless, but we're prorated beyond that. So the question or the discussion point I'd like to have with the folks on this call is are we at the place where PTO would need to sort of foot the bill a little bit more, and should we? The floor is open.
Can I ask, have there been days where there was like too much stuff or things that just get left like for the next day that people just, so I saw some days there were like 3 different people signed up for foods. Usually it's just like one coffee person.
Right.
Yep. Did you want to answer that, Mandy, or go ahead?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, you've been there too, but yes. So we have, between the teachers providing a lot of snacks their first week, and we just sort of told them like, if you want to discontinue it, go for it. So they did. Usually like those kinds of things, they'll take a lot of it and take it to the picket sites for the afternoon.
Okay.
So a lot of those like non-perishables do end up getting taken or just transferred over to the next day, which is why as like people have been a little bit less likely to donate this week. I'm like, we still have plenty. I think people are a little sick of baked goods at this point.
Okay, because I could do another snack thing. The coffee time frame is just tough for me, but I can do another, like if you pinpoint like a type of snack that seems like a good I mean, just
Yeah.
from seeing what people have said, they're kind of over like the sweets and the,
Right. It seems like savory things. I've seen people having those like meat, cheese, and nut little
those
like
are cool, the little
lunchable, like grown up
containers.
lunchable type things. Like those have been really appreciated. So that people just have something that's not like a donut. And they do have like a cooler and they can keep stuff cool. And then yeah, I think aside from coffee, they're pretty well set with just having like maybe 1 or 2 people donating a day. Andy McClure found a good deal on coffee. You can get the big refillable plastic things from Royal Grounds. And then they're doing a deal for $15 for like the whole thing. And you just have to pick it up in the morning and bring it back in the evening. So he's been doing that. And when Bancroft was covered, he was just bringing it to other sites. So we could, either like I can help him with that. But it's a pretty good deal as far as getting coffee, because if you get it from, I think the co-op is $18 for one of those little boxes. I don't know what Caribou is, but it ends up being, like almost $60 if you're getting like 3 things of coffee and ordering it from like Caribou or the co-op or Maps.
So, given that math, 60 a day is
Well, we can do it for cheaper. It's just the people who are ordering it independently
yeah.
are paying a lot more.
Yeah.
So I think
Well,
that's part of what's tapping families out. But I think if we went with Royal Grounds and tried to book those and just had to get the transportation covered, we could do that cheaper.
well, so that's my question is, let's say we own the coffee run. We we own the porta potty and the coffee so that the cycle of life is complete. Um, but I'm glad that made it to the recording. How what do we feel about that? I feel like there's a lean, and I am just prodding a little bit, but
I'm game for that. If Andy's willing to help, I could talk to him. I'm happy to work and help pick up and drop off the coffee.
we could try to spread that love a little bit too. But Mandy, that could be something that we manage offline if we as a group sort of decide, okay, PTO will cover coffee for this coming week. Truly, we were hoping that maybe it's just one day. Okay, so that's on the floor right now. Other And so what we're saying is PTO will cover coffee. We'll still reach out to folks for the snackage, but sort of communicate out. They are doing well enough with their conservation and recycling and bringing back that maybe we don't have to be as heavy as the first 2 weeks were. I know this week was light, and again in part it's programming. It was light because of programming, and then light because of, as Mandy sort of just said, folks are feeling a little tapped. Let's just get that out of the way then. Let's just do a quick vote. I understand Diego and Brianna are not going to vote on this, so I'm not going to put you in the head count, and I don't vote since I'm chairing. But quick vote: PTO to cover coffee and continue to reach out to families for snack options in terms of the way that we're providing support to our Bancroft teachers that are out front of the school. In chat, 1 for yes, 2 for no. Great, thank you. I believe that carries. There are enough to carry there. The votes are so much easier when we don't have 28 people. Okay, so there's that. Thank you very much for that. I think what that sort of tells us from a finances place is, if I can go, where did that sheet go? Mandy, what was that math? $15 times 4?
Oh no, so with it's like $15 for like a big plastic thing with the spigot.
And you
so
just need one of those a day, or
you
2 of
just
those a
need
day?
one. They have 2 available, so we could book both for 30 and just make sure we have enough. Because I think on days when we've had more people, it has run out. Like we had Wilder join for one day. So honestly, you never know. If there's a march somewhere else and people are splitting up the group, Bancroft home base doesn't need as much. But sometimes you have a big group there and you just kind of don't know.
Yep. No, that's fine. I'm just
So,
keeping a running tally because I think at the end of this segment of discussion, I am going to ask for a vote for an expenditure approval. So I'm just keeping a running tally.
So I think like $30 a day is
Yep.
reasonable to expect.
Okay. Any other comments on that particular part? Crystal, and I think I saw you unmute earlier, right before I called the vote. I wasn't sure if you had a comment.
No, I didn't. Thanks for
Okay.
checking that.
Okay. All right. Sounds fine. Okay. So that takes care sort of that first part that we do. There's support to be given. We have the capacity. Two, let's talk a little bit about again. We as a group do we are neither here nor there. We are sort of like engage and discuss and learn for yourself and write your letters, write your emails, do all that stuff. Come out to the picket line if it so moves you, and whatnot. I'm sure you've been tracking that there are other movements afoot. There is going to be a big family rally on Sunday from 1 to 3 at the Davis Center. This is being organized by a pretty diverse group. They are separate from MFT, but they do align with MFT. So I'm not going to try to hide that. It's not an MFT initiated effort, but this particular group is in alignment with them. So, but the messaging, as I'm understanding it, is that families really want resolution. They want to show a show of show of force is not the right word, but they want to show en masse that the pressure and urgency on both sides to sort of come to get some movement. So that's Sunday 1 to 3. And I mentioned that because I know that currently right now there's an MFT specific family rally going on at Davis. I believe that started at 4 o'clock, right? So that's an MST. This one is different. Food trucks, some workshops to educate folks on the issues. A lot of rallying and speaking. The way that they're doing the workshops are kind of like street theater. So it's not heavy on no worksheets and spreadsheets are going to be brought out, but it is very much on using kind of street theater methods to get a message across. And so with that as the background, I know just in speaking with families individually, they are still very supportive of what our teachers are doing out on the picket line, but they are closer and closer, edging closer and closer to we just gotta take a deal is too strong of a word, but we gotta make some movement. I mean, that's the sentiment as I speak with folks, as I do my rounds at these things. And so what I'm asking here is PTO stays the course with the way we've done it. Do we need to sort of advocate a little differently? We have been, like I said, we've been advocating for just engage, right? That's really been the message. Just engage, however which way you want to engage. Do it. We will help you. Here are the emails. Here are the links. Here's the information. But do we need to? Do we need to? And if we don't, that's fine. That's why I'm asking the question. Do we need to sort of change the message that we sort of espouse? That's an open discussion right now for folks. While I look at chat.
I would say, yeah, we probably do need to change the message around just a little bit and probably tweak it to we are remaining absolutely neutral, but to sit there and say, this is our final offer every time, we're not doing any more. You are not attempting to reach a solution. You need to get in there. You need to figure out what it is that needs to happen, and you need to do not leave that building until you have a resolution, I think is what we need to do. We really need to start pushing on both sides, that because we understand both sides of it. A lot of us support the teachers. Some of us support the school district with everything that's going on there. But what we need to start pushing on is, are you staying there in order to continue, or are you guys just leaving the buildings? And we really do need to push down on, you need to stay there until you come with a resolution. This has gone on long enough.
Thank you, Doug. That's a fair statement to make. I appreciate that. Is there anyone want to contribute to that?
I'll just chime in. I think certainly it's been hard to know kind of what to hear and believe about how long the meetings and mediation has been happening each day. And I think that is a concern, just like for me thinking about it, like, oh, well, kind of time has been passed without more progress. But I also wonder too about what role the PTO can play more in supporting other families that may need it. And I don't have a good understanding or knowledge of what that even might be. Certainly I know we've been connecting to childcare, and I think that's been helpful for the families that have been able to, tap into that. But I don't know if there's any other needs out there that we could be as a PTO supporting from the family side.
Yep. Thank you, Robin. That is also a fair statement. I've been wondering the same. Thank you, Melissa, for that in chat. So yes, we have been simply actively broadcasting out resources and leaving it upon families to sort of just avail them as they need. One of the gaps I think, and I'm sure people on this call know this because I talk about it in other places, but academically and learning pods and getting lessons out to kids and how do students sort of how do we help how in grade 2 I say to our parents that are on the chain, I can host a Zoom. You got 2 hours of meetings. What works for you? And your kid will be stuck in front of a thing, listening to me talk about spelling words and line graphs, for example, right? And that's a very local thing. I think, Robin, to sort of answer your question, PTO leveraging the idea of I mean, this times greatly because of what Diego and Brianna put together. Those learning packets that went out and getting just sort of promoting them more actively and encouraging folks to use them to group up. I think if folks, I can understand a singular family being like, I've got 4 kids, I've got 3 kids, they're all in different grade levels, I can't manage that many things. Uh, what if they grouped up into pods and we facilitated that? We own a Zoom account. An idea could be that we lend out the Zoom accounts to folks. People say we're trying to do a grade 3 thing.
Yeah.
Here's a Zoom, here's a timetable. Can we use the Zoom? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We'll just open that Zoom up for you and you can go do it. Right. That's one thing. We have posted the learning packets that the school has shared on our site. That's another thing. But maybe we could be a little more aggressive with that as to sort of fill that sort of unmet need of what do kids do apart from YouTube and video games all day, right? Spelling words and line graphs, they could be doing that all day. Um,
I mean, are there others that have been hearing that there are needs that aren't met that we could support? I don't know.
That's what this question was for, and I mentioned it to other folks, and the childcare one is still kind of hurtful to people. I mean, it's still an obstacle because the problem with the childcare is that nothing is long term. So it's like you sign up for the coming week, and so if you miss that Wednesday, like Snapology is a perfect example because that's the one that we used before we got into Minneapolis Kids. They would open up on a Wednesday, and within an hour and a half, it's all nailed up, and so we'd be lucky to get one the next week. And speaking with a couple of folks during at Playdate today, it's like they got shut out and so they were stuck, right? So I think that's a need.
Plus,
That
it's so expensive.
Yep, absolutely, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
Over $200 a week for childcare. I don't even pay that for preschool, and my kid is learning like how to count and read. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whew.
So there's still the notion of childcare. There's the notion of encouraging or helping out or facilitating some kind of academic activity. There's the notion of we switch our message to we tweak the message to be. It's not just a matter of can we get them to stay at the table until a deal is done. And we could certainly, as a group, align with other groups that are sharing that message. Now, the reason I know about the Sunday thing is I've been sitting in on meetings, but I've been careful to make sure for folks to know we're not as a group able to align. I'm here to take the information and share it back to folks. But maybe it's a matter of partnering up with other PTOs that are doing the same thing. And I think we haven't reached out to other PTOs in an active way. I mean, some PTOs have reached out to us, particularly the ones that were needing just some help in getting their own support if they didn't have well, actually, parents have been reaching out to us because they don't have active PTOs at their schools. So that's kind of where the help that we've been able to give out. But anyway, so we've got those three things as a possible new step to the left. Right, how to reach everyone's a challenge. Yep. Yes, so that's the other question, and I know. Well, I'm anticipating what the answer is, but how do we reach folks that we don't have their emails and we can't put any strike related stuff on schools, and we obviously don't have access to the mailing lists. And so I think we wouldn't be able to do the strike thing, but could we? I mean, we wouldn't be able to do the whole come to the table and don't leave until you're done messaging. That wouldn't make it out. But this is a direct question to Diego and Brianna. If we are going to more actively try to be helpful in the academic realm or childcare realm, is there wiggle room there for us to be able to put a postcard together into to the school's mailing list?
I was waiting to see if Diego was going to jump on that or not. I would say he's probably going to jump into it. I would say definitely. I mean, like, we've been communicating the childcare, and then I know, like, Diego, when we were sending out family communication, okay, let's put the play date in there, just trying to reach more. I guess my question that I put in the chat was specifically kind of push a little bit of the conversation about when we're talking about our family needs. We look at our small group that we have here. And then even the group that PTO has been able to reach it's small for our school. And so, I think the scope of needs may be much bigger than we know, and just kind of trying to push that thinking a little bit, whether it be childcare, meals, maybe it's transportation to come get meals for those who don't have meals, but also don't have access to transportation. So I think there's a variety of pieces. I will say, as a school, we've have not heard much of needs from families. We haven't had much for phone calls of needs, which I think is in a sense, a positive thing, hoping that means that most of our families' needs are fulfilled. But I think that would be I would say a risky assumption. I never want to assume that. I think everybody has needs, and we don't always know what they are. So.
I absolutely, Brianna. I first of all, everything you said on the front end, I think was great information. But I'm going to jump on what you just said on the back end there. It's, people might not be communicating out what they need, though they need it for whatever reason. And from a PTO standpoint, our outreach has grown so tremendously. In part because people are finding us to be active, that our list has just kind of blossomed. So there is that, but we still aren't reaching, entire segments of the school population. So that goes there. As I understand it, there's only a dozen or so folks that come in for the meal bags a day. So is that indicative of either people are not needing the meal bags, or they're just unable to come in? And we can't measure that, as you sort of said, Brianna, right? So is that a place for focus for us? Is that a place for us to assist the school's focus? I mean, does the school have a system or a process in place, and then they just need bodies to do something? And maybe that's where PTO can be helpful.
Yeah, so I think to answer the original question about sending information out about care or food or learning activities, we can definitely do that as a school and partner with PTO to send that out. And you said it, we as a school, we cannot send out, I was going to use the word propaganda, but that's a terrible word to use in this instance. But strike related information on either side, and using our materials and whatever else, that's where it's not allowed as a institution right now. But sending out information that would support our families, we can definitely do that. And I can definitely support that venture, I guess. We've been through kind of a situation where we had distance learning, right? Where we had families that had to find care, had to find other ways of supplementing food. We had food boxes. And I would even go as far as to say is that we had a very similar amount of need or lack of need during that time as well. I know that back then PTO wanted to put together also gift cards for families to local grocery stores and things like that. And we did have a huge food drive that happened at Bancroft, not as big as the one that was at Sanford, but we had a big food drive and were able to pass out some bags of groceries. And I was in close contact with Kathy Todd, our social worker, every day when we were out of the building and trying to figure out what were the needs of families. And good or bad, somehow people figured it out, right? And so there was a lot of resiliency, a lot of figuring things out on their own. And I kind of right now that's the sense I'm getting. I had a conversation with Kathy today about needs that if she's heard, because I know she has an outreach to any of our HHM families and families that struggle at times with care and food dependency and those things. And so she's really also heard not much. So again, that's not necessarily a good sign or a bad sign. It's just kind of a lack of information right now on our end. And so how can we get more information around that? We could, do outreach to families and do phone calls and email blasts and, target specific families that may have needed some of those things in the past, but those are some of the things we can do.
So great. Thank you, Diego. So I think as a group, and I'm just being mindful of time, as a group, let's just sort of consider what our next step might be. I think the way Doug sort of put it in terms of just the theme of our messaging as we talk, the direction I'm taking away from this is that encouraging folks to encourage both sides to just come back to the table and finish this out. No, don't do the whole final offer, walk away bit, that act. I'm saying this because, as you know, we have our own social media. We have our backup site, and so I am taking direction from this group about how to verbiage that out. So I'm just going to ask for a vote. I'm understanding that Diego and Brianna are not going to participate. 1 for yes, 2 for no. That the sentiment, as Doug sort of put it out, is that a fair sentiment for us to espouse through our communications. 1 for yes, 2 for no in the chat, please. All right, so that carries. Thank you very much. And then the next thing I'm asking for a decision on is we've got the notion of reaching out to see about an academic need or just being more encouraging of folks to sort of take up the resources that Brianna and Diego are putting out. And I'm assuming there's going to be a day 6 through 10 packet coming out sometime. And then in addition to that, like I said, we've only been doing sort of childcare in terms of like, here is a list of what's available. We are checking to see if registrations are open. Go do it yourself. We could keep that tact. We could also be equally as aggressive in terms of just helping people out, or reaching out to people that might be needing it. So being more available to families as a resource, I guess, is the thing. So what I'm asking for here is, this is the question: should PTO be more available as a resource to our families in terms of encouraging some academic activity and finding childcare resources? 1 for yes, 2 for no in the chat, please. Also understanding that in terms of the method of messaging, we'll partner with you, Diego and Brianna, in terms of to be able to try to get it out on the school's email or the school's mailing list.
I'll just comment. I think that would be nice to have just a message, from the PTO out in your next, message that goes out, just to say, like, the PTO is here. If there's a support that you need, just a reminder that they can reach out to us and we can help bridge that gap for them, whether it be,
Yep.
repeating the childcare offers or, other tools that are available, like Paul was mentioning the Zoom link or something. I think that's just another offer is easy to do.
Mhm.
Would one of you like to put together just like a small snippet paragraph
You
that
bet.
kind of states that type of thing that you just said?
Yeah,
And
Paul
send
and
it
I
our way,
can-
so then whenever the next communication is, we can attach it.
Yep.
What's your timing on that? First of all, the motion carried, so that passed. Bjorn, what's your timing on school communication? Do you have one that's due up? I know you have
I would defer to my principal on that one.
I try to send one weekly. And so, I mean, I know there's been some news reports already, this afternoon in the NPR story that they are, they think they're getting close to a deal. And so I always say hope is not a strategy, but I hope that they are getting closer and we don't have to extend this, into Monday or Tuesday.
Right.
I would definitely send something at the end of the day tomorrow, or, towards the end of the day tomorrow, because it's another end of a week, going into a weekend with perhaps some unknowns. And so my goal would be to get something out tomorrow.
So,
and if whatever communication you have is not available already, we can send something additionally on Monday. And I was just going to add, I could also be more explicit and intentional about saying, hey, if you need something, XYZ, please reach out to Brianna or myself or Kathy Todd, the social worker, in addition to PTO, because we're there. I mean, I'm there every single day. So we're available to support in any way needed as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for that. So yes, let's look at tomorrow. There will be a PTO specific email out, updates to the families on our list, and then Robin and I could work on an abridged version that we could drop into your text, Diego and Brianna. Sounds fair? And I'll work on a draft, and then I'll get it to you, Robin, and then maybe tomorrow morning
Perfect.
we'll get it to Diego for a look-see. Okay, great. Thank you. So I think the last vote I'd like to take then is given the math, and if anyone was in the meeting when Brianna and I were talking about did the math joke. Anyway, we are, what was that, my amount? 193 is sort of the wiggle room from what was last allocated. 150 would be a coffee run if we had to cover 5 days of coffee for the week. We launched into this thinking it was shorter term, not realizing it would go 3 weeks. We have another week of school, and then we've got theoretically spring break afterwards. Now, I don't really know what that means to any of this process, quite frankly, but I am going to ask for an additional 500 to carry us through to the end of whatever this might be. I don't think we necessarily have the wherewithal to do a whole nother PTO meeting in the middle of this, and I do hope that we're back and that the 193 from the original will be fine, because right now that would be. But just to sort of make this an easier run, if PTO would like to authorize $500 additional, and then through email, the board will figure out how that gets expensed or expended. 1 for yes, 2 for no in chat, please. All right, I think that carries. Thank you. Okay. And yes, Doug, knowing now that you got that cooler, man, you're going to be, was it, don't die, Doug? That email is going to get some use. Diego and Brianna, I want to give some time for you to address. As a matter of context, there's the notion of once resolution occurs and we have school, what's re-entry going to look like? I think Diego calling it what would re-entry be like for teachers and families and students to come back to school. For those of you that didn't see that, there are signs up in the school. I probably should have shared one of those photos. A lot of welcome back and positive messaging. I think that's great to sort of be positive this early or this late, depending on what side of the coin you sit on. I called it the awkwardness phase. There's going to be an awkwardness phase when people come back. So let's thank you, Katana, for that comment. Diego, the floor is yours to talk about what you're interested in and how can PTO be helpful.
So clearly we miss all of our kids. I'll say that first. We definitely miss all of our staff, teachers, ESPs, everyone who's not in the building. We miss our families, seeing everybody come in the mornings for student drop off and also the pickup times. So we definitely miss all of the kids that come into our doors. We've tried to really be mindful and intentional about how we're welcoming everybody back. How we're welcoming our teachers back, how we're walking into the space. And yeah, awkward might be a good word too, but I think it's we've talked a lot about like competing emotions, right? And so I think there might be some anger, some resentment, there might be some grief, there might be some denial of things, there might be anxiety, a whole bunch of different things. And so I think it's just a lot of competing emotions for all the adults. And so how do we as leaders, Brianna and myself, work through that, kind of go back to our core values of what we believe and who we are as educators and who we are as Bancroft School of Educators first. And so I really hope that we do have some time on the coming in end or the coming in beginning to really set that stage with our teachers. And we've put together some activities for us to really be mindful about, checking in with each other. What kind of support pieces do our staff need from each other? What support pieces do they need from us as the leaders? And then how will they communicate that, out with students, leaving the space open for student voice to talk about their feelings, because this again is another historic event, another impactful event that kids and families are living through and talking through. And so what does that look like on that end? And so that's a lot of the pieces that we're talking about as far as like the return of staff. And then we've also just, our kids are really going to be impacted by this. So we're taking a different, not a different approach, but a different lens on that piece too, is like, how do we welcome our kids back? We know there was an interruption in January with distance learning or online learning because of the COVID numbers. And now we have another 3-week disruption due to the strike. And so there's been a lot of missed school. And so really when we welcome our students back, how are we re-engaging with our rituals and routines? Excuse me. How are we relearning to do school again together and being collaborative, being cooperative, having those academic conversations with each other, having those like social conversations with each other. And so I think there's a lot of pieces there that we want to work through with our students. A number of years ago, I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we had a kindness assembly and we had kindness kind of be the theme for a whole month. And when we return, we want to do that with our kids right now, because we do think that a lot of the pieces of kindness really show up in the learner profile and, being communicators, being knowledgeable, being thinkers, being caring, being balanced. I think that's really important too. And so in the cafeteria, we've also, put up all of our welcome back signs. We missed you signs, so glad you're here signs. We also have signs on all the pillars that say, what does it mean to be kind? And so I think we're going to go into that with our students in the mindset of, we need to collaborate with each other. We need to care for each other. We're coming back as a community. And so I think that's a lot of the pieces that we really want to focus on with our kiddos. And then the other piece is our caregivers and our, adults that are in the community too, because I think the same thing, there's a lot of competing emotions there. I think Mandy brought up some of those pieces, like you want to be supportive, but a lot of people are getting kind of to that end of how much they can give of themselves without caring for themselves, I guess, or finding that balance. And so, how do we come together? Because right now, maybe there's people that are not supportive of the strike and want their kids back in school. And there's people who are like, yep, my kids, we're fine. We're learning, we're doing a lot of homeschooling things and the teachers need to get what they get and what they deserve. And so I think there's all these competing feelings and opinions. And so how do we come together as a whole community and provide that space of healing, that space of reconnecting? I know it's been hard too, because we've been online with all of our caregiver and community events. And so I'm wondering too, what are the needs of our community? How do people, and that was one of the questions I was asking V. Paul that I wanted to ask tonight is, what are parents or caregivers looking for upon return? We were supposed to have student-led conferences tonight. Clearly, those are postponed and will be happening hopefully sometime late April. But what are caregivers looking for upon the return? And that's one of the big questions I'm going to ask teachers too when they come back is, what support do you need from each other? What support do you need from us? And so that's kind of my question for everyone too is, we're here as a PTO, but as a greater community of 400 plus kids, what are we looking for, and how can Brianna and myself or the teachers or the staff really support in that transition? I was just, and my last thing I just wanted to add, somebody, I had a meeting, was it yesterday we met with Roy and Christina, or today? I can't remember at this point. But there was a word of wisdom that Christina left me with is she used the words, this is a we thing. And so this isn't an I thing. This isn't a Diego thing. This isn't a district thing. It's not an MFT thing. This is a we thing. And so how do we come back together as a Bancroft community? What are we going to do about all this? And how are we going to support each other in the return and in the 9 to 10 weeks that we have left of this school year? Because I think for me, there's still a lot of learning left to do. There's still a lot of growing for our kiddos to do and a lot of reconnecting. And so how are we all going to do it? But that's kind of what we've been doing in the last 12, 13 days that we've been in the building. So I guess my biggest question, is what do families need from us? What are you looking for upon your return or your child's return to school?
Go ahead. The floor is open. I'm not going to talk. Mandy, your mic's not in.
I had, go ahead, Mandy.
Oh.
She's got mic issues. I know because our kids Roblox together and they have mic issues.
Oh.
She's going to leave and come back, probably. Is that a correct statement?
No, she's got to go.
Oh, she's got to
So why
go.
don't you go ahead?
There we go. Go ahead.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Mandy.
I had something, I guess it's not answering your question. I was thinking more of the kids or the school. Something I've had in my pocket for a while. You guys have had plenty to think about, but we're friends with the director of Climb Theater, who's interested in doing some kind of assembly or present, they do SEL like plays and things for schools. And his kids went to preschool with Drake, and he had just said that they would do something low cost or no cost at Bancroft. And maybe it's time to cash that in.
It might be, and it could be something that goes along with our theme of kindness. I know there's been conversations among principals too that some people are using Youth Frontiers and things like that. And so I think it would be something that we definitely would be interested in thinking about or pursuing. So if you want to stop in or send me an email with that contact, I would love to have
Sure.
that.
I'll connect you. Yeah. But yeah, you've had plenty to do, so I waited. Now's the time.
The only thing that I could think of is that, especially with the kids and everything coming back in, is that we don't want them coming back in thinking, yeah, we had you guys out of school or whatever, and the teachers and everybody was arguing. Maybe we also need to consider when they do come back into the school that, hey, look, we've missed you guys, but we've made a lot of progress. This was a success. We're sorry that it took as long as it did, but we succeeded in what it was that we were trying to accomplish on both sides. Now we can start moving forward. So this time that you feel you lost wasn't in vain. I mean, maybe we also need to consider and look at that as well. And maybe not just do an assembly with just the students, maybe have the parents there as well and do something where we're all back. Maybe if we have enough lead time, have families and the students all there for one huge assembly. So we all can feel like we're finally getting back together. And by the way, Melissa, I still have Drake's present. It's not wrapped. So, message me or something and let's figure out when we're going to go and get that one in.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead, Michelle.
One thing I'm wondering too, similarly, I know, and I don't know to what degree this can happen at school, but I also wonder if it wouldn't be valuable, and this would probably be on a class by class basis, or maybe something that would happen in media time, but I also wonder if it wouldn't be valuable, because I know social justice is obviously one of the values that's I'm in a PTO meeting with your teachers, honey. One of the, I know social justice is one of the things that's taught at Bancroft. If it wouldn't be valuable to, the week that we come back, to have Ms. Warner reading some books like, I don't know, like Click Clack Moo or Si Se Puede, or like so there's a lot of books that are kind of about what organizing is and what a strike is and what a union is. If it wouldn't be valuable to just read some of those books together, just to kind of process, because I know kids are, I'm sure, getting lots of different messages at home depending on what their family's views are. And, even just that, we honestly, like, we don't, I realized, like, I was like, oh, there's all these great books about strikes, but like, we don't have a lot of them at home.
Thank you, Michelle. And then Melissa, I'll answer your question too that you put in the chat. So yes, we agree. We've put together a resource list of books specifically about unions and labors that are tailored to school age, students, and a few other resources using like our Caring School Communities curriculum, which is our SEL curriculum, which is more about like discussing the difficult topics or how to promote the conversation. And so hopefully through our conversations with teachers and kind of that first chunk of time that we get back with teachers, hopeful it's super soon, teachers will be able to use those resources to make plans for what kind of reentry will look like. And then Melissa mentioned IB and how this connects to IB. We're definitely going to work very hard at regrounding ourselves in some of the, basically everything kind of Mr. Paz said is about regrounding ourselves with the IB learner profile, as well as the attributes of learning, and even looking at, like the action cycle is reflect, choose, act, and kind of digging into that and how, what pieces of that has shown through in the last 3 weeks and what students see, and kind of digging into that. So we do feel it's a huge connection to IB, and it's a great way to kind of reground us in IB while using this event to continue learning.
Yeah, and I think to Doug's point too, I mean, that's one of the pieces that we do want to connect with as teachers, or as, when we come back, is how are we going to talk about this with our students? And not that we're going to downplay anything or those pieces, because this is a very historic event and there's a lot of learning to be done from it. But I think one of the activities that we plan on doing is a brainstorming around what questions do we think kids will ask and how are we going to answer them? And what will be a common message or common theme that we can connect back to IB or to the learner profile, and letting kids have that agency and that voice to lead some of those conversations. Putting together sentence stems like, we were on strike because, XYZ, not saying, again, it was the best thing and the worst thing or whatever, but just trying to be factual about this is why it happened, and because this and this, and these are some examples of historical ones and why there's unions and these pieces. And so that's work that not Brianna and I aren't going to do in isolation. We want to do it with the voices of our teachers and staff, because they're going to be the ones in the classrooms, sharing their thoughts and those pieces with kids. But collectively we can come up with a much better way of doing that for our students. And I do think, I think maybe it was Robin who wrote it in the chat too. I mean, COVID numbers right now are not bad. We've been able to have volunteers in the building as long as people are masked and those things. I have been hesitant all year to have a big function in our building, just because of the numbers of people together. I think we had our first, during our African American Family Involvement Day, we had our first concert in 2 years. We had our third graders in our 2-3 classroom. Were up on the stage, and you could definitely tell it was their first time on stage in 3+ years. They did an amazing job, but trying to put the a number of people together in one small space is, I still have some COVID fear around that personally, becoming some sort of a spreader event, or then having kids or somebody else miss more school than they needed to. So I have some personal anxiety around there, but we can have volunteers come in. We can have, smaller assemblies. We've had our Native American Family Involvement Day, we had African American Family Involvement Day. We've had some poetry things that kids and families have come in for. So I think it's definitely an opportunity to get that done now as spring is here, and we can maybe even have things outside and so forth.
Yeah, I think this is. Thank you, everyone. This is a great discussion, and Diego for those last comments. I think this is a perfect transition to the question I had, and that was in terms of engaging with families during the reentry period. I imagine you're not going to. I mean, it's always been great. You walk into the school and there's staff out there and they're doing stuff. They're greeting or they're leading things and whatnot. Now, I imagine there's going to be a whole lot of just anxiety and stress over just getting the function of school back on track. So there may be fewer available to volunteer for any side things. Where I'm going with this is if we're looking at reentry as a course over the course of a week or the course of 3 days, let's pretend, and maybe we can program 2 or 3 smaller things rather than a big assembly. And then maybe we could muster together some parent volunteers, some caregiver volunteers to sort of lead or manage or facilitate some of that programming. And pretty much just piggyback on the messaging that you've already put together for this. I mean, is that something of worth to do? I will say, and Tana's on this call, so is Melissa. Virtual bingo, which we have been moving toward, I think as of today, Tana, and certainly chime in. If we're not back, we won't do it, and we'll hold it for when we're back, so that it's a community event once we're all back, rather than trying to make it a community event while we're still splintered. That's what I'm sort of getting from the email chain that we've been on, Tana. And the event itself is pretty much drop of a hat. We can go. It's ready. It's in the chute. It's just a matter of releasing it. So there's that. Tana, do you want to make any comment about that, or?
I just think, I don't know how we're going to reach everyone to make sure that everyone knows it's happening, and how do we get all just like a bingo card, right? And
Right, yeah.
also, I feel like Mr. DePaz is kind of one of the draws, and Ms. Nichols. I just think the kids really, that was a big draw, and it would be different without them participating.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It would be, and so I think where I'm going with it is we're going to hold it in reserve, and maybe we can make it part of the reentry period, and it could be the big assembly that Doug's talking about, but it's still just going to be virtual, and there's an opportunity to program there, and then we could then partner with the school for smaller programming or smaller activities, or just a table outside with a welcome type thing, with such parents, caregivers are just sort of interacting the way they interact at play date, and that becomes part of the thing during that week. And of course, we got to figure out timing. Well, what Diego and Brianna, what do you think about that?
I think it makes sense to, are you talking about postponing the bingo, or what was your question?
I mean, the bingo is postponed. I think there's no doubt there. What I'm saying is that we're going to tie it into reentry, and it could serve as the big community event once we're all back, if we're not doing a grand in-person assembly. And then in the meantime, for the first couple of days, it would be, we could do some kind of programming in the school, one in the morning and one at pickup, and then that's just a way of sort of socializing out the messaging, right? Sort of to make it a little more special that we're back. We're not just like back and go, and back to usual, just drop the kids off and out the door. It's like there's an opportunity to re-engage in the morning. There's an opportunity to re-engage the next day in the afternoon, and then 4 days later, virtual bingo. That's kind of what I'm sort of talking through here.
Yeah, I guess I would have to just wrap my head around what the engagement looks like. I mean, families are more than welcome to come in at drop off and go through the breakfast line with their kiddo and walk up to the classrooms or walk over to the classrooms and hang out. You know, let's find your locker again. Like, let's try and let's see where your desk is. What did you leave in your locker? Oh, here's your lunchbox. You know, all these things that could happen in the classroom. So I think people are more than welcome to do that. I just need to wrap my head around what an engagement
Well,
activity or something.
that would exactly be it. I mean, I think it's just to be more intentional and communicative about it. And let's pretend we have PTO folks at a table on one of the floors saying, "Hey, come on in and check out." You know, I mean, messaging out literally, dropping your kids off right now. Now's a good time to, you know, they're open. See the classroom again. See the teachers again. You know, rather than letting it sort of trust that it would happen because we don't really know. And let's sort of be clear. I mean, the school has always been open. Do people truly? How many people, you know, sort of take advantage of that? I know, I know. I make my walk all the way to the classroom, and sometimes I'm like, am I even allowed to get this far in? No one's caught me yet, but I'm here now. You know, and so I mean, it could be as simple as what you just described, but there are ambassadors socializing that behavior out. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And what
Yeah,
I'm saying is that
I'm
that could be PTO to sort of help out in that aspect of it.
Yep, and we could even, I mean, I could even talk with Miss Sue once we're back and see if our actual IB fifth grade ambassadors could be the welcomers or help the kiddos in the lunch line and just do some of those things. I mean, in the past too, we've had the fifth grade ambassadors lead an assembly, right, Miss Nichols, around the kindness and anti-bullying and things like that. So we could make it a whole community thing. I could also be persuaded or convinced to have our bingo not be online and perhaps maybe in person, and we have a big coming together of things. And I'm sure VPaul could figure out a way to live stream into the gym and the cafeteria if we have two different spaces. So just throwing that
Drop
out
of a
there.
hat. Drop of a hat. I can even have my drone involved if you want people on the roof.
There you go.
So I think we've got some direction. Go ahead. Who's that? Sorry, who was that?
It was Brianna, not a
Yep.
big deal. I was just gonna say, I agree with Mr. Buzz. I kind of would just have to get my head around what pieces would look like. I mean, even if so say we return Monday, because that would be amazing. That we would only have, well, currently that week is set up as a 4-day week anyways. And so, yeah, so I feel like so this is what I'm planning for in my head right now, right? I know, who knows, but like that would be our week where we're really getting to know each other back again, and then we'll have a break, and then we're going to kind of have to do it again and then kind of get rolling. So I think we're looking at farther down the road a little bit, but even next week with those 4 days, I think working to just welcome families. One thing I was wondering, I know we're getting late now, where a different school I was at when I was at Emerson, one of the things that PTO had done a couple times was like at drop off, have coffee. So like some coffee and socialization for all the families who were walkers. And that might be a good way to promote some PTO. So just like a conversation, just like from whatever it is, 8:40 or yeah, like 8:45 to 9:15. Just having something out there where then PTO could have the conversation too, where they drop off their kiddos and come back out. Anyways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. PTO has been pretty conditioned for the 7:30 coffee drop, so an 8:30 coffee drop is no big deal. So yeah, I think let's take that as direction. I mean, I think it's perfect. I mean, that's literally what I was looking for was, can we do a thing where, and we've been wanting this anyway. We've been wanting the flyering and canvassing and someone standing out front just sort of greeting from a PTO messaging standpoint. I think we could certainly just make that a thing. We're not making it a PTO message. We're making it a school message. We're making it a welcome back. Here's a thing. Here's a coffee. We're glad you're here, and sort of roll that as part of this kindness assembly that you have already sort of got, and then you take over with whatever you and staff decide to do once everyone's in the school. How's that for direction? And I know we are long, but how's that for direction? I'm not going to ask for a vote, but I am looking at nodding heads. Everyone nodded and we got thumbs up. Okay, that works for me. I think that's good. We'll get an email chain going among ourselves, and then we'll reach out, Diego. and Brianna about what that might mean. Let's pretend if it was a Monday thing, well, yeah, we can do it. And like I said, bingo is good to go if we're back. We can make Thursday happen. So we'll just leave that. We'll just leave that a thing. I'll look at Michelle.
I asked Michelle to make some bingo markers, and I don't know if she's signed up for that yet.
Yeah.
I can make, I think I probably popped this in the chat. I can make the big I can make the bingo markers, whatever. But I'm just like, just communicating, that's going to be too high a bar to communicate with families and get people there. And especially because it's basically the day before spring break starts to after hopefully just 3 weeks of strikes. So yeah,
and like Brianna said, her jokes aren't as good if I'm not there. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's Diego. You got the orchestra. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Well, point is, drop of the hat. It's ready to go, minus the markers. And I'm going to leave it at that. We will, as Brianna, if you would ask me about this, I am still wanting to have April PTO at its normal time. So that would be the Monday after break. So if you still needed a date, we're going to still look at that. And I think I'm not going to jinx anything. I'm just going to say we're going to look at that. So take that, and then that we'll take a regular PTO business at that point. If anyone has any other comments, questions?
I have something completely unrelated that was basically I think it was unfortunately a Mandy question, but I'm having a really bad week, and so I made vegan gluten-free peanut butter brownies, and I was like, can I bring these tomorrow, or should I not bring something to a school event that has peanut butter? Or is that only in the school or outside school?
Which event tomorrow? Which are you talking about? The grill out?
The grill out.
Oh, well, that's not school.
Not
Yeah. I mean, not that the rules don't necessarily apply, but it's not school, so it's a different ball of wax.
Got
And
it. Okay.
if it's signed, if it's signed clearly, at the pancake, I accidentally ate something vegan, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to me? And that was totally fine.
You didn't turn into an animal?
Anyway, no, all good. Okay. Having said that, I'm glad everyone laughed at that joke. Brianna, maybe you and I should be a 1-2 tag team. I'm going to end this meeting. Thank you very much, everyone, for engaging. Thank you for your time and consideration. And thank you for all the work you've done over the last 3 weeks. This would not have been possible without all of you, frankly. And I know our families are appreciative of it. I get emails all the time. And it's all the stuff that you're bringing to the table. So thank you for that. And we'll see you all soon. Well, tomorrow for some of us, but back in school soon. All right. Take care.
Thanks everyone. I do appreciate all your kind words and your support too of Brianna and myself and everyone who's at the building. And I know that our teachers wouldn't be where they are right now without the support you're giving them. So I've heard from them that they greatly appreciate it. So thanks for all you're doing too. And I hope to see your kiddos longer than just a play date in our building soon. But
Yes.
take care, everyone. So thank you.